YouTube Center, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am joined by the lovely Miss Mafumengwana. Yay! I'm joined by Uziana Mafumengwana. Today we're going to be talking about psychotherapy and Christianity, or psychotherapy in the Christian space. Yeah, as Christians. So she is my friend. I haven't seen her since 2012.
Dude, social media. I feel like I have seen you
right?
all the time.
Like, but
since
yeah,
again, I feel like I've seen you. Like you've been here.
Nope. The last time I saw you was
2012, varsity.
We were in varsity together.
We were in high school together.
Yes.
First.
Yes.
And then we were in varsity together.
But I didn't know you in high school. I knew.
Oh, she was in the Christian class.
And I was very like that dude.
She was in the Christian class, guys, and obviously in high school.
We were in a Christian school.
Yes, but in the Christian school, there was a Christian class, and the Christian class, you know, most when you're teenagers and you are cool, you don't want to be in the Christian class. So that's how I didn't know her, because she was the nice kids that don't break school rules, that are in the Christian class of the Christian school.
Yes. And then we met again in varsity,
because we both were in the same, we studied psychology.
Yes, we did. And then I left, I went to Durban, and then life continued. And now she's a qualified psychologist. I like saying that, qualified psychologist. But anyway, getting into the topic, we don't have a lot of time. So we want to talk about psychotherapy in the Christian spaces, because I have been aware that psychotherapy is often seen as something that denies the power of God, that denies the word of God, or is not aligned with the word of God. So as a Christian, if you are seen in the psychology spaces, or maybe you are a Christian, yes, therapy, and also you're attending therapy, it's as if you are denying God in your life, and then in that your faith isn't stable enough. And I feel like it's something that we need to bring light into, because it is not true. In my experience, I believe that God has offered us the resource of counseling as another way of making us wholesome, and is another way of bringing healing into our lives. So that's why I thought, let me bring her and then talk about it. We both Christians, did we say that?
We have not. We went to a Christian school.
So we're both Christians, and she's a psychologist, and I'm waiting to write my board exam so that I can also become a counseling psychologist. So I think we're pretty much qualified to talk about this. And obviously we're not tackling it from a very serious manner. We're just having a normal conversation and sharing our perspectives and views on the topic. So with that said, what has been your experience, or maybe understanding of psychotherapy versus Christianity?
Interestingly, I thought when I got into the profession I would encounter this complexity a lot, and I did not. It's far less present than what people actually think it is. With the people that are in counseling, it's normally people that don't see the conflict. That's why they are able to go and seek it, because to them it doesn't cancel the other. And it's always the people that have not accessed psychotherapy that assume. So the people that are in therapy, surprisingly, never felt like it's a betrayal. It's a betrayal of their faith. It's always the people watching them that think, do you not believe enough? Are you not aware of how blessed you are? Are you not feeding yourself enough with the biblical truths? And therefore you believe in the lies, of depression and so on and so forth. But the actual people that came to psychology had already identified psychology as a source of help. Because that's the nice thing about our profession. People come to seek you. So it's people that have already identified, I have this problem, and this is what I have decided will be my solution. So you actually meet people that are very open to therapy, and they normally come, surprisingly, to be in a better place to enjoy their faith. They're coming to deal with the problem that's blocking them from enjoying their faith. So it's weird. It's always been the people that don't have first-hand experience of it. As a result, if I've spoken at a church, the message was always welcome to the people that don't attend therapy, because it's them who are so scared of it. The people that are in therapy are pretty okay with it.
Yeah, like just normal.
It was always the ordinary congregants that are like, oh, I see, because the judgment actually came from them, which means that it's people who are not suffering with mental illness that are judging people that are suffering with mental illness and have chosen psychology as a solution for them.
And in terms of like exploring this narrative that you can't be saved and be depressed at the same time, like what you were saying now is because a lot of people judge that as you're not feeding yourself with the word of God. And because I don't think nobody experiences feelings of depression and anxiety. I don't think just because you're Christian you are you are exempted from experiencing feelings of depression and anxiety. And so there's often this blockage that people experience, that I'm feeling like this, but I don't know what to do and where to go, because in the first place I'm not supposed to be feeling like this as a Christian. So then if you do, there's a sense of shame, there's a sense of guilt that one might encounter because they are exploring something that is against the belief system or what is considered to be normal in the Christian spaces. So if you were to sort of like, in your understanding, sort of unpack depression and Christianity, or depression and born-again Christians specifically, what would you say to sort of free them, free them from those feelings of wanting to explore therapy, but then being held back by the sense of shame and guilt?
Yeah, I think the misconception comes from how limited the understanding of depression is. Yes. Most people that actually understand depression understand the behavioral consequence of it. So how you sound, how negative you sound, how lethargic you look, how demotivated everything seems to be, which is just the consequence and the outcome of depression. And that's what people who are not feeling it see. But depression, that's one aspect of depression. As a result, that's the part that they think is fixable with just prayer, with just the right word. But remember, how you think is a byproduct of the fact that you're depressed.
Yes.
But that's all that they understand depression to be, that you're thinking in a negative way. Are you not aware? Why are you believing these lies? Why are you believing these negative things? And it's because the biology of depression is something that is taught at school.
The biology of depression.
Which is what actually needs specialists to come in, because depression is biological, depression is psychosocial, but that biological part of it is something you would have needed to study in order to know it. So lay people don't know the biology of depression, they just know what depressed people do, and they know that you can behave better than that. But it's missing the context of why. As a result, even with most Christian depressed or mentally ill patients, I've always found such profound impact when they actually also understand the biology of what went wrong. Then you understand it's such a mechanism that was out of your doing. You know, it's not like you can believe more or less to make it turn around. It's a brain vulnerability. And once you teach them that, my favorite way is to even actually just watch videos together of just imaging of what a healthy brain looks like and what a brain of a depressed person looks like. And we just both say nothing. I'm not trying to convince them. We're just both learning what is going on in the nervous system that is resulting in this behavioral consequence. And suddenly they feel like, man, it's complex. It's far more complicated than just I don't want to get out of bed. There is structures that are responsible for drive and motivation. There is structures that are responsible for mood and affect. But when they think you smile, no, smiling is a goal-orientated behavior controlled by specific parts of your functioning. And if those parts are malfunctioning, such things start to disappear. You know, there's things that make it worse in the social space, and there's things that make it better. So that's why people are like, do this and this and this and this and this. But there is another part of it, and that's the biological part of it. And I think once they understand that there is biology to depression, there is behavior. All mental illnesses, in fact, they affect different parts of the brain, but all of them, there is always almost a neuropsychiatric foundation to what is going on. And for me, it halves the guilt. It halves the guilt to say there's nothing wrong with you. Let's look at the organ that is under strain
and is responsible for you behaving like this.
And then we're just both in silence, in the absence of motivating, because sometimes when you're trying to talk them out of it, they feel like you're just being nice, you're just being polite. But when it's a touch, it's not me. I never said anything. You know, we're just both watching. And then it starts to make sense. And you even start by explaining normal behavior. You know, explain to them what actually happens when a person gets out of bed. What makes them jump? What happens on the day when they are not jumpy? Before it starts to be abnormal, even normal behavior is a consequence. It's not like this person is smarter than other people,
out of nowhere,
or this person just got the groove of life. They're fortunate to have a nervous system that is working well, and maybe they are clever and exposed enough to know things that support it. But primarily, human functioning and existing within our environment is the job of the central nervous system. That is why we have a brain.
Yes.
That's what senses are for, to take in stuff that is incoming and make sense of it, and then derive a behavior. It makes it uncomplicated when you think it's just a feeling.
Yes.
It really trivializes what it is for people, and it's like a lens that they start to wear. And I think it's important for faith systems to understand that therapy is like cleaning the lens so they can see truthfully again, so they can see the value of fellowship, so they can see the value of scripture, so they can see the value of solitude and reading the word. But for as long as they're depressed, or for as long as they are ill, their lens is colored by the illness, and they're not seeing this truth right. And if you want them to see the truth of your preaching, it's in the best interest of their faith and how they function in the church to get that sorted out and just take them to the right specialist.
You've said so many things that are so profound, and I want to unpack some of them, but I don't have all the time. But I want us to talk in terms of how our mental health is often, or can often, hinder our process of spiritual growth. Because when you are feeling all of these things and you don't have the motivation to read your Bible, go to church, because sometimes when you're dealing with feelings of depression and anxiety, you don't want to be in the outside. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't feel like doing anything. And so the last thing you even want to do is go to church. And so because of all of that, that hinders your process of spiritual growth. And a lot of times I don't think the integration of psychotherapy and Christianity or spiritual growth is often discussed enough. So in your opinion and experience, how can one integrate the two for the benefit of their spiritual growth?
It's actually odd, because Christians offer pastoral counseling.
They do.
Which is basically...
They do.
Counseling.
So the only difference is just like
is
the
who is offering it.
Yes.
It's the oddest thing that they've identified that there is something about behavioral management that makes a person better.
And talking through your issues
and being heard, and somebody empathizing with you and validating you, and being part of a whole, and being reminded that you make impact. It's like faith systems. In fact, it's not faith systems, it's typically church institutions. It's typically church institutions, because the foundations of Christianity are very similar to the principles of psychotherapy. Very, very similar. Non-judgment, love, forgiveness, compassion. All of the things that make therapy so therapeutic. The total acceptance, the unconditional acceptance of another person are very Christian principles. They are very Christian principles. So there isn't actually a deviation between the religion itself. It's always the rules of the institution that start to make people feel like I belong to this church, and when I do certain things, they may reject me, and I need to let go of certain things and almost like do as the Romans do. This is what we do here, which is also odd, because then it means the person in that church issuing the counseling says I'm the only one
who can
do this, whereas it's the same service. It's the same service. One with a background in theology, one with a background in psychology, psychiatrists with a background in psychiatry, medical practitioners with a background in medicine. But it's all people that agree on the principle and studied the different foundation of what makes the principle work, but we're kind of all doing the same thing. So it's so disheartening that leaders in the church have so much authority that they could use to empower and give their congregants as many tools
as possible
to be effective in their Christian walk. Make the church that space that enforces those principles, because that's what makes therapy work. It's the relationship, first of all. And church is full of relationships. It's built on relationships. And psychotherapy, primarily more than anything, is a relationship. Before you even unpack your problems, the therapy itself is the relationship. This potent person that seems to know more and be containing of all of your messes. Which church offers that? Church has got hierarchies, like leaders, heads of this department in this department, which are very you feel like they've walked this longer than you. You feel like they know this better than you. So the same feeling a therapist brings exists in the church.
Yeah.
It actually exists in the church. Another thing that makes therapy work is this opportunity to redefine. You know, people make a joke and say, we always ask, how do you feel? How do you feel?
How does that make you feel?
How does that make you feel? We actually don't ask that, by the way. Not as often as you think we do. But a how do you feel question is an opportunity to redefine. Because
and also an opportunity to reflect and
really think, how do you feel?
How do you feel?
Exactly, because I remember if I'm going to psychotherapy, and especially in the beginning when my vocab wasn't a lot, and you'd be like, how do you feel? And you're like,
I feel fine.
I feel fine. And then the opportunity to redefine comes from saying, so what is fine? What does that look like? And I'm like, things are okay, not bad, not good. And then someone is like, oh, so you're kind of feeling euthymic in your mood. First time I have a word called euthymic to define my experience, then I look it up and I'm like,
that's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
Without cutting you, I feel like a lot of times psychotherapy offers you with the labels or maybe the names to label your feelings and the language to explain, which somehow offers normalcy. It makes you feel like, oh, it's normal. Like
more than anything, it removes the guilt of the incorrect label.
Exactly.
It removes the guilt of the incorrect label. So every time you go to therapy saying, how do you feel? And the therapist is like, you look irritated, as you look a bit anxious, and then you're like, oh, anxious, what is that? And then you suddenly know, why are you worried? Why are you on edge? And once things have the correct name, suddenly you are stripped of the belief that you are failing, you are stupid, you are so weak, because you're suddenly weird, you know strange. The racing heart, the sweaty palms, oh, that's the anxiety box, and it's in the right box. The sadness, the anhedonia, lack of motivation, like, oh, that's depression, it's in the depression box. Suddenly there's no I'm weak box, there's no I'm bad box, there's no I'm a disappointment box, because each thing has been categorized, in the right, and church has that. Yes. Church has the opportunity to redefine because there's counseling in the church. Also, what makes that be beautiful is making impact. When you meet a therapist and they light up, and this validation that you exist and they listen to you, just
your problems
it makes you feel like you really exist in the world. And church is beautiful in that. Church has roles. Church has segments of functions that people are expected to perform, which also makes you feel like you make impact. So the principles of therapy for me as a Christian psychologist, I've never felt outside my Christian box when I'm in work, ever. Yes. I've never felt like
you've compromised your
this
beliefs.
Is so ungodly, or like I'm getting a conviction. If anything, it makes me such a good therapist, because it's not just the demands of my job to be all encompassing and loving. It's the demands of my faith. To let go of an injury and forgive, that's the demand of my faith. I actually owe that covenant to God more than I do to the scientific discipline. So it's so easy for me. I don't have to learn how to be loving, how to be good, how to attempt to be like my leader and Christ-like. I'm not actually thinking I'm prim and proper psychology, And if anything, it makes me feel privileged that, like, but God is genius. Like, I have so many moments where you're like, yes, like, God is genius, you did that.
And for me, I think in that specific sense, it has made me more curious to know God more, because you're like, oh my gosh, you created this, you created the nervous system. So when things are not functioning well, it's because of this. And there's also the sense that people have that psychology is science and God is against science.
What? How can God be against science?
Tia, now we are just catching up with what God already knows and what He's
Dude,
so it's just like...
It's like if we at some point think the earth is no longer round. Remember, the earth is the earth. No matter what we know of it. Just because a few odds later we're like, it's not round. Not really round.
But it can't be
the earth was always the earth.
Exactly.
We discovered, and that's what science is. It's like a discovery of phenomena. If you're discovering it, the premise is that it exists.
Yes.
Right? So every time I make a discovery, I'm like, that is cool. That is cool. That is so cool. And the fact that after almost 30 years, I'm like, I'm learning that only now, and you've been knowing that? Come on! I'm fascinated by the kind of scientist God is.
The kind of scientist God is. Because I think that's also something, that's a reality that we try and shy away from. Because maybe it's not in the Bible that God described himself as, I am the scientist. So once we see him as a scientist that has created this marvelous universe, we're suddenly like, we are in the edge of the.
I've never nursed a conflict in my role as a psychologist to feel like, oh, this is coming in direct contrast with my Christian values. Never. I kid you not. Same goes for culture. Because when I worked in psychiatry, people always assumed, how do you know if something is like a culture-bound problem, if it's a psychiatric manifestation? And truly, we've never had this conflict. I think people minimize how much is in the discipline to categorize illness, diagnosis, different perspectives, and diagnostic considerations. I think people think we just like go in there and give people labels that you are sick. This is what's going on with you. But we don't. In fact, the interest in the label isn't as significant as people think it is. It just helps us. It's our box to categorize that this is the group of symptomology that we are seeing, and this is the tested way to deal with that. But it's for us as clinicians to bounce around each other to say, this is that. But for the lay people, your experience is your experience. You know?
And I also think, like, in terms of the people who are against counseling, they always say that I will walk into your office without any problems and walk up with problems. So there's a sense of, once you start labeling all these things I'm feeling, now you're making me sick, whereas I wasn't sick.
It's interesting because it's like if you go to a medical doctor and they draw blood and tell you a diagnosis, you feel like the illness was in there.
Exactly.
You're like, what? And the anger is normal for us. We don't get upset when people think, because the beauty of therapy, especially for me when I go to therapy, like as a client, it's the fact that my therapist doesn't know me from a bar of soap before I went there. So everything she says, it came from me. Yes. Even when I start to not like it, she did not know these people. She did not know these problems. Yes. Clearly, if that is the content that is now coming out, and paraphrasing what I said, I'm the one who brought it to the space. Because before I went to therapy, she didn't know my mom, she didn't know my dad. So I can now be pissed when she points out a problem between my mom and my dad.
Yes.
Like, she didn't know them. She didn't know them. So what is it about what you have said that has painted that picture? Do you want to modify that picture? Why are you upset with receiving that feedback? Never ever. What has been your conflict?
Well, I was going to actually say at the beginning of my journey in psychology, first year, basically, where the whole Freud and his analysis, and I just sat there and I was thinking, nope, this does not sound godly. Like, it does not sound like something God would say. It doesn't sound like something that should even be said in the beginning.
Did it sound like blasphemy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think it sounded like blasphemy when people, and this has got nothing to do with being godly and ungodly.
Yeah.
Sex is in the Bible.
Exactly.
It is the socializing of how we've grown in our church institutions, that there's just language that is not open for discussion, and we carry guilt when we say those words. But there's nothing about the mention of sex that should make a person cringe.
But we do.
But we cringe. We cringe. You know, Freud says something about sexual arousal and you're like, oh, no.
And then my mother, sexual, in the same sentence,
that's
like,
what are you talking about? But I have never encountered a word in psychology that I did not understand religiously, ever.
I think that's probably where I lacked understanding, because
first year,
I was just like,
it was almost like your naivety.
Yes. So I was offended, basically. I was just like, I'm offended, actually, and I was like, I'm changing courses.
I'm always so confused when people say, this is ungodly, and I'm just sitting, which part? What am I missing? Which part is ungodly? What is this
now
part?
I know, but then, like, as a naive 18-year-old, you have this
discomfort.
And it almost sounds unethical for you to even be studying these things, and like, so am I going to be going around talking about
sex?
You know what I mean? But eventually, I think my breakthrough came from a point where I was like, okay, it's fine. So if I feel like psychology is this ungodly space or ungodly discipline, why not infiltrate it? Why can't I just go in and hope God to do the best that he normally does in making it godly, in redeeming it? And so if he needs to do that through me, then I will allow him to do that. And that is why I sort of made it through. But in the beginning, there was that bit of a conflict. And so now when people are counter or have a bit of conflict in terms of that specifically, I'm able to normalize it, and I'm able to sort of understand and speak from a place of resonating with them and say, by the way, you're not the only one. This is where I was, and this is how I came out. And I think the process, just also the process of growing as a psychologist has been beautiful, because also the other thing that I find is that I grow with my clients. So as you're sitting there with them, and there's stuff that you won't know, there's stuff that you'll be like, I have to come back to you about that, because I'm also unaware. Because you also don't want to be this, or maybe act as a God who knows everything.
Also, there's something about Christians that makes them feel like
they have to know it all.
That they are weaker scientists. They don't feel competent because and they feel like, can you advocate for your diagnosis properly, or are you gonna like over spiritualize it? And you can see that they're very nervous professionals because they feel guilty that in the true science discipline I'm not really considered scientific because I'm Christian. Then in the Christian fraternity I'm frowned upon because I study a scientific discipline, and they just feel like I don't belong anywhere where I feel completely understood, and that's actually their psychological problem. That's insecurity.
Yes.
And they get scared to say I'm a Christian.
Yes. To add on that, there's also this difficulty to marry the two, to marry psychotherapy and Christian at the same time. I mean, Christianity at the same time, because you're scared.
They're not struggling to marry them; they're struggling to admit them in front of people. Typically, in their heart of hearts,
they married.
They know they are married. I believe in both.
Yes.
But it's having to say in church, take your antidepressants to the other person, and then you feel like,
because at the same time, at the end of the day, you can't pray depression away.
You feel like, oh, but I believe they should take the antidepressants though. And then when you get to a ward round and you're sitting there thinking, God whispered to me. You feel like God whispered to me. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Do you not know the real answer? And people are just like, what?
It's a very uncomfortable and conflicting space to be.
It is. And my psychological journey of my confidence resolved that for me. So it was never a Christian problem or a professional problem. It was a Zianda problem.
Yes.
And this is why I can say I'm a Christian, because I know at no given stage can you ever doubt my psychological competence because I said I'm a Christian. You can't fault that. I'm good at my job.
Yes.
I'm good with my faith. God gave me the job.
Yes.
I'm not about to not say I'm a Christian either, you know,
yes.
to please you. And I'm ready to respond to anyone, and people like to be liked a lot. So the reluctance to own up to it comes from the fact that there's one group that will reject me if I own up to this. And if you're not okay with rejection as a principle, then that's going to be a problem for you. But that's not a Christian problem or psychology problem. It's a you problem. And it's okay to be scared of rejection, but own it as that. That you're scared that if you own up to being a firm believer in science as an effective way to remedy problems, you are disowning God. And you're scared to admit that you're a Christian in front of your academic friends because you think you're less of an academic. Own that you're scared. And the beauty of me being a Christian is that fear is something my God acknowledges. I can talk to God and say, I'm scared.
He knows about
I'm scared. I want to impress those people. They are my seniors. I'm scared that if I talk about my faith openly, they may look at me weirdly. My faith allows me to have that engagement with my God. I don't know how other people's faith systems work. And because I've been trained and being diligent in what I'm trained in, I know I don't force my clients to pray. So I know I'm ethical in my job. I know I'm good and honorable in my job. And I know I'm competent in my job. I know I'm good in my job. So I've gotten less anxious. And I'm okay with people picking what this means for them. Maybe it may mean I want an objective psychologist that discounts God.
Yes.
I'm happy to direct you to the door of somebody that can offer you that. And I don't judge that at all. They want what they want. You know, humans were given free will by God. They're autonomous. So if they don't want, if they feel like, oh, are you gonna judge me? I know I'm not gonna judge them. But if they feel like being a Christian is, you are unwelcoming for me. I need to be in spaces where I can talk about my things with somebody that is not Christian.
That's okay.
That's okay. You can resolve this for them and ask, what makes you think my being a Christian will limit me from understanding you?
And I even think that sometimes as Christian psychologists we are uncomfortable with that conversation because you somehow don't even want to not be seen as a Christian, because if your client wants us to be in a space where they they will not be listened by a Christian person, then you feel the need to discredit your Christianity or
to accommodate
to accommodate them, which is not healthy.
We minimize how we can always talk to our clients.
Yeah.
You know, most people, their fear is unfounded. My experience with people that have been anxious dealing with a Christian psychologist have been people that were going through an experience that Christianity rejects.
Yes, and puts shame on.
Yeah, so somebody that has just maybe recently terminated a pregnancy and they feel like your faith has already decided I'm wrong. How can you, as my psychologist, think then that I'm right? And then this is where you get an opportunity that, are you here to find out if you're right or wrong? Because that's never what psychotherapy was for.
Yeah.
You know, there's no right or wrong answer that is coming from me. Mine is to treat certain things with very evidence-based practices, not to decide if you're right or you're wrong. Then once they feel like your Christianity has got nothing to do with my problems, they feel like they even forget what your faith system is.
Yes,
You know, we underestimate how open-minded people are, and we underestimate how powerful relationships are. That it doesn't matter. We've seen this outside work, that you can have a relationship with people of different races, you can have a relationship with people of different creeds, and the relationship is powerful and transformative.
And it works.
Same goes for the therapeutic relationship. I don't know what's my faith system of most of my clients, and none of them have actually ever asked me what mine is. It's like, this has got nothing to do
and it's
with that.
for that.
It's ones that maybe were experiencing shame and were scared that, are you gonna judge me? And they wanna know, are you Christian? You're like, yes I am. Why is that important to know? Well, do you think I'm gonna go to hell because of XYZ? And then we talk about this fear of hell, and we talk about the understanding of what hell looks like, the condemnation and the self-ridicule, and we can unpack all of those things without me deciding if they're going to hell or not going to hell. I don't know where hell is. So you let God be God, and you just deal with how they've accessed you. Because if they come to your office, they've accessed you in their capacity, in your capacity as a professional. They're not asking for your opinion. They're not asking for religious advice.
And they're not there for you to pray for them or Bible bash them.
No, you even get Christian clients sometimes that say, can we pray? Even those, I would say no. They're more than welcome to pray for me. They're more than welcome to pray about me. But the space we are in is designated by a particular council, and there's ethical things that are allowed and not allowed. And I subscribe to that council. So you explain that to them, that no, I can't actually do that, but that's a lovely gesture. Or no, actually, council doesn't permit XYZ, but you can pray for me. You can even pray here. I won't necessarily join you. So it doesn't mean that we are anti-Christians and club with our fellow Christians. No, I would not Christian with my Christian people in a session
in the space,
either. Same goes for a doctor. It's not like if you believe God can heal disease, you're not going to administer the medication. They walked from where they are and accessed you in your capacity. Even if they know you from church. Like if you're a doctor and somebody knows you from church, you have to be clear in the boundary that they're not accessing you as fellow brethren. Don't. And if they're struggling to separate the two, you can always refer to someone where that boundary will be clearer.
And I want us to end it there, because I think we need a part two. We need a part two, but because of time, we have to stop there. The whole purpose of this video was to sort of shine a light in the fact that there's no shame and there should be any guilt for people who want to access psychotherapy.
Or both. I think that's also another important thing, that they don't cancel each other out.
They don't.
Church is effective. I'll tell you that. The principles of what happens in church groups is highly effective. The belonging, the support, the fellowship, the reminder of good affirming statements is good. It's not the only one that's good. Drinking water is good. Taking a walk into nature is good. Talking to a professional is good. Church isn't the only one. But when you go to therapy, you're not saying church is bad. And when you are...
And you're not saying that I don't believe in Jesus.
Exactly.
I should be.
They don't cancel each other out at all. And the people that have been proven to heal quicker are people that have got more than one coping resource. And therapy can actually make you use them better and teach you how to use your faith, the resources available to you, including your faith, in a bit of a better way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you guys have more questions for our part 2, we're going to have a part 2.
We have to.
I have to go to PE for a part 2.
Yeah, I think we ask a lot.
So when if you guys can just ask your questions down below, and Ziana and I will sit down again and address them and have a part 2 of this conversation, because it's something that I am passionate about, and I want therapy to be an accessible tool for Christians as well.
Oh, it's so lovely. It's so lovely. I've become a better Christian, a better mom, a better student, a better professional by being in therapy. I've been in therapy since I qualified, and I'm in therapy to date, and I don't plan to stop.
And there shouldn't be anything wrong, just to say, for you to go to therapy, because people have this thing, but I don't have anything wrong. There's nothing wrong.
I went there because I was about to become a therapist. That's
yes,
the reason
I also went for self-development, because I was like, I need to be on the other chair. I need to experience being a client, so that I can grow in my empathy as well.
I can see what therapy is like for my clients.
Yes.
Strange enough, I don't know what is the faith system of my therapist.
Really?
5 years later.
Well, I do know mine, because we do talk about it.
Because for me, that was never a part of my complexities.
Yes, yeah.
Which is why you can enjoy a therapeutic, transformative relationship with a competent therapist. It could be she's atheist, I don't know. It could be she's Christian, I don't know. The faith systems were never a part of, never formed a barrier in our relationship.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. I've been kind of closing up for the 3rd time.
We close. Shrinks talk too much.
I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye guys.